All right. Well, welcome to A-Topical Input, where we talk about all things movies, TV, music, and pop culture. We have our rundown for the week. We'll have some throwback hits and a deep dive into some pop culture moments that we're caring about right now. I'm Krista. That's Corey. We're kicking it off with the 2025
Oh,
Grammys.
yes.
So, what'd you think? Initial thoughts, like the first thing that pops into your mind about it
All pretty predictable, to be honest, in my opinion.
was.
Relatively predictable.
What'd you
Some
think
weird
about
offs, but
what'd you think about the whole Beyonce Cowboy Carter thing?
I think it's great for her.
Yeah.
It's
People
exciting.
are not happy.
It was a pretty good album, to be
I don't
honest.
see, I don't really like
It was still pretty good. I mean, I'm not even a country fan,
no.
and I thought it was good.
I didn't listen to it enough because it's like people always get this goes back for forever. People think it's gonna be the most like popular
Oh, yeah.
thing, and then like Beck wins or Bon Iver or
Yeah.
we all learned how to say Bon
Why
Iver.
did Beck keep winning?
And so it's like and people thought it was because Jay-Z was
Uh-huh.
complaining last year. I don't believe that.
No, I
I
don't
don't
either.
think he has the pull that people think he has.
Probably not. Not that much poll. Otherwise, she would have won by now.
That's kind of what I felt
Yeah.
like.
No, it was a good album. I don't think it was, I'm not sure if it was the best, but like, at least it wasn't something really stupid that was chosen. You know what I mean? Like, if it was something really like, if it wasn't like Fall of a Midwest Princess, Espresso, is that the name of the album?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Sweet. No, it's like sweet.
Oh,
Something
yes.
like that.
Yes. And then, Cowboy Carter, those three were probably the ones I would have chosen from.
Billie Eilish was the one that people thought was going to win.
No.
Really? I
Yes.
thought it was.
I mean, she's great. She's great. I just don't think it was her. I don't think it was like anything to really.
Taylor was not going to win, and she knew it. That album was like for her. Like
Yeah.
she put that album out to be like, I want to get these songs out so I can move on with my life.
Yeah.
And I don't really care what y'all
I
think.
can see that. No, I don't think anybody had Taylor winning this year.
So,
which is fine. She's won enough for now.
I thought Chappell Roan with the Best New Artist
Yes.
was pretty spot on.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised because I thought it was really close between her and Sabrina Carpenter. I was like, you could have chosen either one. I would not have been surprised. But like I was talking to you a little bit before, if Doechii had come on the scene slightly earlier in the year, maybe like in the summer, just like Chappell and Sabrina were blowing up at the time, I think Doechii was also a good contender because
she nominated.
She was nominated for Best New Artist, and she also was nominated for like Best Rap Album, which she won.
Yeah, I saw her speech.
So yeah, she's so entertaining.
I'll have to look her up. I had literally not even heard her name.
She's just like Chappell in Sabrina Carpenter, where they have a stage presence.
Yeah.
So much fun. So yes, she is a hoot to watch. When I found her on Stephen Colbert's late night show. She did a performance, and it was iconic. I'm not even kidding you. I've never seen anything like it. You got to watch it.
I will. I'll have to check it out. I have literally not heard of it. Like, I feel like that's so weird to see someone I've never even just like heard the name.
I know.
But
I heard of her like late November, so it's very recent. And she blew up. I feel like she blew up overnight also, and she's very entertaining. She's a little filthy, but who cares about that, you know?
Chris Brown winning something is when you sent that to me.
Yep. He won Best R&B Album.
How does he still have
a platform?
I mean, I know that there's plenty of celebrities that are doing bad things, done bad things, continue to do bad things, but it just seems like he's not even like that talented to warrant the continuation of this. And
I don't know why people feel like they should keep consuming him.
I
don't understand that. Sometimes it's pretty easy to have a clean break from somebody, and if they really are that unapologetically a piece of crap,
that's what I mean. If it would have just been that one, like I think the Grammys, wasn't that where they were going?
Going or coming from, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think 2008, so. Right? And I mean, if it was that one thing, I mean, that's still hard for me to swallow. But like, they were young.
If he was even somewhat apologetic,
they were young. They were teens.
Right.
Like things went down. It was not good.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happened, and he cleaned up his act. Maybe.
Right.
But it's just over and over and over and over again.
Yes. So yeah, I don't really care for him having a platform still, but I guess somebody's still feeling it, which is weird to me. I'm trying to think of something I thought was interesting, which I don't know if this has ever happened. I didn't have time to Google it before this, but there was a tie, and I've never heard of a tie at the Grammys.
Isn't there like 12,000 people that vote on this?
It's like a crazy amount, and it was
Yeah.
the best progressive R&B album, and it had a tie between two people. I was like, I've never seen
How
a
do you
tie.
tie with that many people voting?
What are the odds?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so there was a tie, and I was like, so
Oh,
if
that's
anybody
interesting.
knows of a tie, let us know, because I feel like that's weird, and I've never heard of such a thing. Like, if that happened, like,
Yeah.
best album, people would flip.
I think one of the things I want to touch on, you sent me The Rock, and it was like not good.
Yeah.
And you asked me if it was
Atrophying.
Yes, that was your word. So I was going to speak to it. My first thought was, oh gosh, yes, because I think about how rock is not at all in the top even 100 streamed. I'm trying to think, are there any rock songs? But I don't want to speak because in your own little corners, two things to compare here. First, like I think of pop punk and it's had this huge resurgence. It's not charting. Pop punk songs are not charting. But all these bands are putting out new music that's doing great for them.
Right.
And they're like, I'm going to Mayday Parade's tour. I didn't get to go to Orlando because it's already sold out. It's sold out in like
nice. Good for
an
them.
hour. Yeah, so they're like selling out decent sized venues,
Right.
especially if they team up together. They're selling out 10,000, 20,000 person venues. So you may think it's dead, but it's not. Same with Hozier. I read a fascinating article where the why can I not think of the name of the song? Too Sweet.
Isn't it Hozier? I think you're talking about your doctor.
It's pronounced Hozier?
Hozier, I think.
Have I been saying his name wrong for a decade?
It's because your doctor's name is Hozier, so I think you're.
I thought it was Hozier. No, I thought it was Hozier in 2014.
I think it's Hozier.
Oh my gosh. I learned something new. I've been saying it wrong for over a decade then.
Oh my God. If I'm saying it wrong, you guys can correct me.
That is crazy.
I can see myself being wrong. I'm very commonly
I don't know
wrong.
if I've ever heard somebody like say his name.
Oh yeah, I think it's Hozier.
Well, whatever this guy's name is, they did an article in Billboard about Too Sweet or whatever it's called, blowing up.
Oh yeah.
And how he feels about that a decade later after Take Me to Church.
Oh yeah.
And he said, well, I mean, it's cool, but it's really not a big deal. I guess he's had this whole massive career.
Oh yeah.
Touring and doing great, and just no one but his indie and folk fans really think of him. So I don't want to say rock is because I don't know. I don't listen to like rock. So maybe it's doing great in its own little circles and we just don't know. But
I
at least
like the awards were not reflecting
that. No, that's what I felt too. Yeah.
Yeah, the nominees is what I was talking about, because like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, like
that's pretty.
Like what are we like? There's you could pull
the Beatles
Metallica
was the AI.
I see, that's weird.
So that's where people were not sure they were like comfortable with that, because in some ways it's such a cool technology because they used John Lennon's voice. They pulled it from like demos and stuff.
Yeah.
So they were able to create new music with his voice as the Beatles.
That seems problematic.
But well, it was signed off, I believe, on everything. But like that's cool as like a project, but should be nominated for a Grammy. I don't know.
Right.
To me, that's like a cool use of AI. I don't know.
I think so. As long as the reps for them are able to
I believe
sign
everything
off.
was kosher.
Because I'm like, if you're not, I feel like
correct me if I'm wrong.
That's a slippery slope real fast. If we are not.
Well, it's like those holograms where the states were like suing people for creating holograms. Yeah. Please let me know on HOZIER. No, but it goes long before my doctor. I've always pronounced his name that way. So
I think I used to pronounce it Hozier as well.
Okay, it's been over a decade.
I just have seen TikToks of him recently and people talking about it because he's very suave. He's a ladies' man. He's a ladies' man in the sense that like he's just very respectful of women and stuff. So women are very into him, and so I hear people talking about him. I've heard them say his name. That's the only reason.
Clearly, I am not into him because I have been saying his name wrong. Anything else with the Grammys? Or
no, not really. Not super surprised by Not Like Us. Kendrick Lamar winning.
Oh, yeah.
Not super surprised. I feel like everybody was just putting that on repeat everywhere.
That's a good segue into our next topic, but that was funny because Drake used to kind of be like the golden boy of these award shows.
I was going to talk about it.
And how would you like all of your peers screaming?
Did you see the clip of them announcing him winning?
Yes, when they're all singing along,
and
everybody.
Yeah, he literally gets up there and like A minor, and the whole place is doing it. I'm like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Like Drake can't go back now.
I know, like it's so bad. It's so bad. But perfect segue into the Super Bowl. So Kendrick is doing the Super Bowl with SZA.
Yep.
I say her name right.
I think so.
No, I am. I know this.
Okay.
I
I was
do
like, I
know
think so.
this. Okay, so Eric was my husband was a huge Kendrick fan from the beginning. So I've been like listening to this dude
Yeah.
like for a decade now. I like him. I'm definitely a fan. I love SZA. I'm like a secret SZA fan.
Ooh.
No, I really am. Like I forget that I'm a fan, and then her stuff comes on. I'm like, she is the best thing that has ever existed. I'm a huge
I
SZA
might need to
fan.
listen to her more.
It's not normally my type. I normally like more upbeat or like rap. It's very R&B and chill, but for some reason, there's something that like does it for me. I don't know if you'll like it or not. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to say this and I might eat my words. It feels like a weird choice for the Super Bowl in the sense that when I'm thinking of a Super Bowl performer, I think of like pop, maybe some more, rock that everybody knows, and someone who's a little more recognizable to more generations. I don't feel like up until this year, Kendrick was like A-list. Very talented. I don't mean it in his talent as A-list, but like my mom is pretty up on everything. She had no idea who Kendrick Lamar was.
Yeah, I I think it's just because you have to kind of, because I feel like I've known fairly well of him for the last few years at least,
Mm-hmm.
just because, to be honest, Tyler D has
Yeah.
been trying to get me to listen to Kendrick Lamar, and I'm just not as big on rap as other people are, just because
Yeah.
I can't. My ears suck. I cannot make out words half the time. It drives me crazy it's my own fault, but I just wish I was able to kind of piece it out better. But I mean, everybody I've ever heard talk about Kendrick Lamar basically talks like he's the best rapper on the scene for like the last decade, basically.
Yeah. I just don't know how that translates into a halftime show.
Is that why Sis is with him? Because she's
Probably, but
also.
she's not very like her stuff is pretty
Yeah.
slow. So it'll be really interesting. I hope it's great. I have a feeling that everybody over the age of like 50 is like not going to be into it.
I wonder if there's going to be surprise guests of some kind.
People were saying, Kendrick and Taylor have a song. He was on Bad
Okay.
Blood, and they're still apparently like he came back on for like the re-release and all that, I believe. And so I don't think she would. I don't think there's any way. That overshadows Travis, that overshadows Kendrick. I don't think there's any way she's coming out. But she'll be there.
Has she ever done a halftime show?
No. They've
That's a
apparently
good idea.
asked.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was gonna say that's a good
But I
idea.
think she wanted to re-record all of her music so she would own it all before she said yes. I don't think she will.
I wouldn't.
I don't. I think that would just look bad.
It's such a gamble. Like I would.
Everybody
never.
would freak out, but
Yeah,
I don't think she would. That overshadows two people that she like
right. Yeah,
cares about.
I agree.
And there's no way that it
We'll probably be wrong. I feel
doesn't
like,
right now. I don't know. There's no way it doesn't. In her point in her career right now, she will. Everybody will be talking about when Taylor came out.
Right.
Of the whole thing.
Right.
So it's just like Justin Bieber when everybody thought he was going to come out with Usher.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think he was going to. But
he didn't.
Yeah. So we'll see. I hope it's great. Like I do.
I do too.
I enjoyed all the rappers at the LA Super Bowl. That was fun. Like 50 Cent, Eminem, like all of those.
LA
How did you miss that? Yeah, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh, see,
Kendrick was there too.
That was like a decade ago.
Yeah, it was really good. But that was like a lot of like 2000s rap that everybody knew. Like even my mom and dad were like, "Oh yeah, I know that song."
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
So I don't know. I hope it's great.
Yeah. Why do you think his music isn't? Is he filthier? Is that
why?
why?
No. I think it's just more serious, if you will. Like in the past, it's been more like I don't want to say underground because underground is like too serious, but kind of like a J. Cole. You know J. Cole?
I know of.
Yeah, kind of that scene. Like you're not really like playing a lot of it at parties and stuff. He's had a couple songs that were party-esque, but it's more the people who get into rap who are like jamming out to this in their car while they're working.
Right. Okay.
I feel like Not Like Us is the first, because he had that get up, drank, sit down, drank.
Oh,
like he had that one, but I feel like Not Like Us is the first one where like everybody's banging it.
Yeah. Okay, I could see
So
that.
sure there'll be Kendrick Lamar fans that are like, no, he had this. I'm speaking as just an average person who somewhat knows of him. So
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
not
think
super
that's the
familiar
best
either.
people to talk about it though. Who's
I'll be
gonna
curious.
win?
Eric's gonna eat that up though, isn't he? Because
Oh, he's gonna be excited.
he's such a huge Kendrick fan.
I
He's
even
probably gonna
said
eat
if
that
we were
up.
putting the kid to bed during the halftime show, like I'll make sure like I take over for you. I'll watch it later. So yeah, because
make up decision.
football's fine. I'm
Sign.
not really there for the football.
We're not on the table. Thank you.
I'm there to catch glimpses of Taylor Swift and see the halftime show.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. It's literally just to, like, see friends basically if I'm gonna do anything with it, or family, So.
Okay, well, moving on to where we'll watch all of the clips of the halftime show the next day, TikTok.
Look at you in your transition.
So we got a reprieve. It's been a week or so now. I don't know. It feels like an eternity.
Yeah,
but
it's been a
it
lifetime.
probably was only like 10 days since it happened.
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. Where it went dark and everybody, it was funny. My husband and my best friend were like group texting and they were like going down with the ship when like user profile started to not have a picture and like stuff like that. And then it went dark.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny, but not. I was upset because I make money off of TikTok.
Right.
So that was like but not like my whole life over here, but I mean, it pays for like my car payment. So I was bummed and I enjoy it.
Right.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's like my hobby. So now there's going to be buyers. Trump save TikTok.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the buyers.
Have you heard of any potential
buyers? Yeah.
buyers?
Microsoft, group of investors. Mr. Beast has a group of investors. He threw his name in the hat. Larry Ellison of Oracle, which TikTok servers are already all on Oracle. And then apparently Trump signed for a sovereign wealth fund that can like buy part of TikTok or something. He's still keen on it having a US having a stake in it, which to me just sounds like a slippery slope that we don't want to go down. I mean, other countries have sovereign wealth funds, even outside of like you think the Middle East, and you don't want to be like that.
Right.
But other countries have that. But that's typically to like invest in,
right.
Buildings and tourism and things like that, not buy a media platform.
Yeah, it feels a little.
That feels like
Russian.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels a little Russian.
I will tell you, as someone, I'm a big, I'm an ex-figure skater, and I still follow it. So I get a lot of my news about the Russians that are banned right now, but before that, from Russian state media, and it is truly a wild experience that you do not want.
No.
That plane crash, they were like naming people that were on the plane that were not on the plane.
Oh, great.
And so these U.S. citizens had to be like, that was not me.
Where are they pulling names from?
Just past Russian people that like their parents are Russian and they were born in the U.S.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Well, that's the dance team or the Paris team that did pass away.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, they've been in the U.S. since like the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, I've had 3 Russian coaches.
Right.
Like just me.
In Indiana.
They have many of them defected.
Right.
They have not been back to Russia since 1998, that kind of stuff. So that there was nothing.
Right.
These people were very much American except for in citizenship.
Right.
In every way.
Yeah.
And many of their kids are, U.S. citizens and born and raised here.
Right, right.
So that's what they were pulling from, like people who had Russian parents who had defected or whatever, and their kids are now competing or like top skaters. And they were saying they were on the plane. And I thought it was weird from the beginning because I'm like, they wouldn't have still been there. It was like the development camp after. And 2, they're based out of like Detroit or Montreal. Like they wouldn't have been in DC.
Right.
And they weren't. So you do not want state-controlled media.
No. 0%.
So that's a little concerning.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Mr. Beast besides just
I don't know
what I see.
I feel like anybody who has enough money to say that they're going to buy it is going to be somebody who is too close to being a monopoly in some capacity.
Yeah. Meta has nothing. I truly believe Meta has nothing to do with it. They don't have the money by themselves, first off.
They better not, because that would be not have the money such an insane monopoly. It would
and
be crazy.
2, Zuckerberg's not. I would be shocked. I'll eat my words if that happens.
It's just weird how buddy they got with it right at the very end. It's weird.
Yeah.
They got on they got on TikTok, made accounts, got verified, and then they started in pushing people on Facebook to link their TikToks.
Well, apparently that's always been there, though.
No,
I saw
people
a
said they
couple
had-
TikToks that
Really?
said that they had linked their TikTok to Facebook like 3 years ago or 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it was an option. I
that
thought
it was just like everybody was looking for
I
stuff and they
purposely
found
didn't
it.
want to do that, so
Yeah.
I didn't even look.
I don't know either, but that's what I'm saying. Like rumors just fly so fast.
So fast.
And nobody knows what's true. It's like back to the crash, Hank Green. It's like, have you flown? Have you even ever flown as a commercial person into Reagan National?
Right. I know. Just instead, I don't know why we can't just settle. I'm so sick of it. Anything that's a conspiracy, just knock that out of your brain for a second and just go, is this person probably just incompetent? Oh, that's all it is? Okay, let's just go with that. Because that's what the cult lady I listened to, she's a former officer, and she worked with the Air Force, I believe. And she was like, oh, I saw this coming a mile away because they're making it less and less desirable to get into the Air Force and try to learn how to fly plane through the Air Force. So they're going to get less and less people who are qualified and trained to do so. So they're going to get pilots that are less and less qualified over time because they're so...
She was pretty qualified, though. She's the helicopter pilot?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty qualified.
Was she?
Oh, yeah, a lot of flight hours.
I'm so curious.
Really decorated, yeah.
They've still not said what did it,
I think what my father said is probably going to be the answer. Something was going on with the altitude reader.
Okay.
Because they said they were at a different altitude than what they actually were at.
Okay.
Which is apparently not that uncommon in those helicopters.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. It's not common, but it's like helicopters are dangerous.
Yeah.
We learned nothing from Kobe. I'm not even
That's a throwback.
I'm trying to, yeah. Well, speaking of throwbacks.
You're
no, I will be honest, and I know I'm an Air Force brat, so I'm like, the standards are still incredibly, incredibly high. I do worry about commercial pilots because that is becoming less and less.
Yes.
They have such and I still think they're very highly qualified. I'm not saying that, but they're needing more because they have a shortage of them.
Right.
And it doesn't, before when you were in the Air Force, you were a pilot for 5-6 years, you got out, you went into commercial. That's what all my dad's friends did if they didn't stay career military. And it was like a very lucrative field.
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
And so they go to UPS or they stay in the military. They go to FedEx or they go to some other, they don't go back. They don't get into the airlines anymore. And so you're missing these guys. Before, if you flew in 2000, your pilot of your United Airlines was probably like a fighter jet pilot.
Right.
And now...
Why is it less desirable? What happened?
Because airlines' profits tanked. 9/11 killed them. Financial crisis, COVID. They're trying to make up profits, fuel costs, and so it's just not. You used to like you're always in danger of like.
That's interesting.
Like, and then they overcorrect when this stuff happens. They lay everybody off. One of my dad's buddies, they offered him early retirement during COVID. He would still be flying today.
Yeah.
He took it because he's like, I don't know what the heck's going to happen.
Right.
And so now you're missing this whole group of pilots that would still be flying because he's 62, 63. I mean, he'd be getting close to mandatory retirement, but not yet. And they're all gone. And that happened many times over different recessions and things like that. Right. They often overcorrect. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something we're missing. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Because how could they be this much less profitable since it's like the 70s, 80s, 90s? How did profits drop off so bad? Like 9/11, I get that.
Yeah, no.
How have they not come back since 9/11?
I don't know enough about, well, they did, but then the, financial crisis hit and then they come back and then COVID hits and they come back. So it's just.
That's true.
I don't know enough about like the airline business to speak intelligently on it. I only know from just.
It just seems like things have gotten cheap. Like it's gotten cheaper in the terms of like what you get when you're flying now.
Yeah, no, it's
true.
And
you're paying more money. I'm like, this doesn't really make any sense. These numbers are
going and they're still not making money. No, I know.
Right, so something is not adding up.
I would have to do a deep dive into that, which maybe we can.
Yeah, maybe later.
But let's throw back to the good old days of flying. You picked.
I got a few. I got a few.
The Fray. How to save a life.
I heard them on. I told Krista I went to a dentist appointment at 8 a.m. a couple weeks ago, and this radio station played the craziest array of songs I have ever heard, especially for 8 in the morning.
Oh,
One of them
that's
was
funny.
a drinking song, and I was
Which
like,
one? Which one?
see, I can't think of exactly which one it is. It was one that
Probably
was
because you were
big.
probably
Whenever
because you were drunk every time you heard it
oh, for
before this.
sure. I looked at my hygienist and I was like, I feel like I should be drinking right now because it's a stupid song. I was like, I've never heard this song outside of that context. It was a song that you and I used to listen to whenever we were in our drinking days a decade ago, for sure.
Turn down for what?
No, but that would have been hilarious. It was like Red Solo Cup era.
I don't know.
So I can't think of it right now. I'm sure somebody can help me out. But the Fray came on and I was like, gosh, what happened to the Fray?
What did?
So I looked it up a little bit and I think they got too much success from their first album and didn't know how to continue that success. And so they basically like just, for better words, shat out multiple albums just because that was what their record deal was. And they split. And then one of the main guys who split off tried his solo career for a second and didn't work out. He now just owns a record store in Seattle. He's like done. So like I think they got burned pretty bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I think the Fray is still trying to put stuff out, but it's not the main people that were in it in 2008. So
I feel like that just like never quite. It's kind of like Panic at the Disco, where it's Brendan Urie.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that's not really Panic at the Disco.
Right.
That's you.
Yes. You really have to have.
I mean,
a lot of times you never know what part of a group is one person versus the whole group actually meaning something until they have a split of some kind. And then you're like, oh, you guys needed each other.
I don't mind if a band like has to replace a drummer or something
right.
like along the way, but when it's like key people that were creative key people, if the drummer was a creative person, part of it,
yeah.
If they're not just showing up to drum, then you can't. It's hard. You almost got to start a new concept,
right?
Because you're not,
or you probably have to treat that person a little better. Because a lot of times the front man, it seems like the front man gets inflated ego because they're the face almost of the band, but people don't realize that a lot of the creativity may be coming from a different person that's kind of bringing extra to the group that isn't the face.
As we learned with Panic at the Disco. And we didn't know that until this year.
No, that was something that we got educated on.
Yeah.
And it was actually very interesting.
It was. That was like literally, I tell people about this all the time. I'm like, I learned the most fascinating thing about Panic at the Disco this year.
Yeah, I had no clue. That was entirely new to me. So, yeah.
I miss them. They have some bangers.
Too. But they put out multiple albums. I never heard anything else from them.
I didn't either. I can think of How to Save a Life, Cable Car.
That's like it, really.
I think that's it.
Yeah. But those were so popular at the time, which I think is so interesting because what about Cable Car?
I could probably sing like the entirety of How to Save a Life right now.
I could.
After not hearing it for like a decade.
I definitely could. But I remember Cable Car coming out, and it was during my VH1 days when I used to get up at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and 6 in the morning,
8th
and
grade,
watch it.
Freshman year, somewhere in there.
I think it was about that, yeah. And I just remember it coming on with the music videos, and I was like, this song is really boring. I'm a little surprised that people love it so much. It grew on me. I like it a lot now. As a 15-year-old, I was like, this is kind of boring. But How to Save a Life came out, and I was like, okay, this one slaps.
I think
this is good.
Like, if it came out today, I don't think it would have done anything. I think it hit the perfect, like, time period.
I think so, too.
So much of music is like, well, if you would have been...
a snapshot in time.
Yeah, 5 years earlier, 5 years later, you might have been really big.
Even a year.
Yeah.
Difference can be, a huge... I mean, if you look at, like, Chappell Roan.
Yeah.
She put out that album in 2022. It was album of the year in 24.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously there's a time and place for certain music, certain time periods. So
yeah, like if you think about, I'm going back to pop punk, but like My Chemical Romance, if that came out today, I really think people would be like, what is this?
Oh my God, I love them though.
No, I know. It was like a perfect time.
They're so good. Yeah, because pop punk is not really having as much of a resurgence as
there's a new pop punk band that's come out in like the last couple of years. And like, I think to myself, if you guys had been around in 2007, you probably would have like a legacy career.
Yeah.
Like the other pop punk bands. But A Point North.
I think I've heard of them.
They're young. I mean, they're like Gen Z, like younger Gen Z. Yeah, there's a couple coming out.
I hope they get big.
Yeah. I mean, they did pretty well. I mean, streaming numbers and stuff.
Maybe they can get into that rock genre so they can actually get some life put into them.
That's the thing. Someone needs, and it can't be MGK.
No.
Someone needs to reinvent rock and all that stuff. But I think it is like a period.
I agree.
In time. Sometimes I wonder, like songs that were so big, like Lil Jon and Ludacris, and like that whole era, like party rap era. Does that transcend everything? Like, if that came out today, would people be like, "Oh, this is a banger," or do you think that really is just so mid 2000s? It wouldn't have. See, that's the kind of stuff that's really interesting when you get into that.
I don't know. I feel like that's probably true because if you think about the 80s, a lot of
Yeah,
the 80s music like that people loved, you could listen to it now and be like, this is kind of boring or
I'm
it's
gonna
kind of
say something.
generic. It's because nostalgia
Yeah.
has fueled it for so long for people who grew up in the
Yes.
80s, just like we did in the 2000s. The Fray, I guarantee Gen Z is going to be like, who the hell is that and why do you like them? Because I just listened to them and they're boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People aren't going to love them as much as we did.
Okay, I'm going to say something, but it's so true. The Beatles. This is not a knock to the Beatles. If the Beatles came out today in 2024, people would be like, "Oh, they could like be at a festival with Noah Khan."
I don't really care for the Beatles, so I
I mean,
can't say
that's like,
anything.
so it really is time,
Nostalgia,
place, every nostalgia,
a
everything. I'm
lot of it.
telling you, if you released any of the Beatles songs today, people would be like, "Oh, I'd see them on the side stage with Benson Boone and Noah
Right.
Khan."
Which is why if you see artists that are sticking around for more than like a decade, they know a formula. They've got something.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. I know everybody's sick of Taylor, but I was thinking about that the other night. And if I think about her career too much, it like freaks me out because I was 16 screaming Fearless on the CD my boyfriend just bought me when it was released.
Yeah.
And my 15-year-old employee is obsessed with everything Taylor Swift, went to her concert,
Right.
listens to all her new stuff. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
That is actually scary.
Yeah. Which is why like you look at people like Cher.
Yeah.
Cher had a hit for like once. She had at least one hit a decade for like 5 decades in a row.
That is crazy.
That is
insane
called
longevity.
you are a genuine star. Like
I will
that is
say
crazy.
Madonna's kind of fell off.
She's the same thing.
But
Same
Madonna,
thing.
same thing. I mean, I
Yep.
remember her stuff with like Justin Timberlake and stuff when we were probably mid
Oh my
2000s,
god,
right?
I loved it.
Yeah, no, it was good.
I
Like
loved
she
4
definitely,
minutes.
yes.
Yes.
I mean, she definitely was like producing like actual hits into the 2000s.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, good example there too. So like, yeah, the Fray obviously didn't have the formula. They just didn't have
No.
it.
Or they just didn't know. You see so many people that like kind of caved to what they thought people wanted. That was why in the beginning I
sure.
was so proud of Panic at the Disco because I felt like they were weird in their first album and then they got weirder.
Yeah.
Second album, it's like, oh, good for you. Like you,
Right.
good. You
Yes.
didn't go the other way.
Right.
But I think people just are lost. They have, and you don't know how much like, I'm not saying the phrase specifically, how much record labels have a role in all this.
They have a huge role.
Like One Direction, how much those boys are all individually talented. They're not boys anymore, and one is unfortunately no longer with us. But it was people putting them together to make this stuff.
Right.
If they hadn't had that, who knows what
exactly
creative direction they would. It's hard.
Right. So I have an example for people who probably are like me, who have a very specific like niche person they like. But Walk the Moon is specifically that their first album was very weird but fun. Their second album was still a little weird but pretty fun. That's the album that had the one that blew up. Shut Up and Dance with Me, I think it was.
Yeah.
That one blew up.
I'm not a big
then
fan.
Their third album kind of was like, it's getting a little bit more
generic. I know, I wasn't really
and then
fan.
by the fourth album, I was like, oh, none of this is good. There's not even one salvageable song on it. Which sucks because I love Walk the Moon.
Maybe I'll have to listen to like their first album.
It's really odd. It's odd stuff.
That's okay. I like different stuff.
It's very fun. It's kind of giving. Who's the one that I'm trying to think of? MGMT is kind of like the vibe of their first one. They kind of still weird.
They're still weird. Yeah, they still tour. Apparently, they're not very good live. I think Eric's seen them.
Oh, really? That's sad.
Maybe they were just really
because they're fun
high that day. I don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
You know who I just thought of that I haven't thought of in forever? Jack Antonoff was in it before the Bleachers.
Oh, okay.
Fun with a dot at the end. We Are Young.
He was in Fun?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't think. I think he was like in Bleachers. He sings.
Yes.
The Bleachers.
And he's fun. Oh, the Bleachers are so fun.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorites too.
Fun with a dot at the end.
Period.
Yes. Tonight. Yeah, Jack Antonoff, Andrew Dost, and Nate Ruess. I think Nate Ruess was like
The lead
the
singer.
lead singer.
Yeah.
I feel like Jack, like, did he play the drums?
I don't know.
I feel like he played the drums, but I didn't. Yeah, guitars, drum, percussion. Yeah,
He just seems like he's Jack Antonoff is one of those. He's really interesting. I feel like that's a person that's worth doing a deep dive on.
he is.
He's
Because I
super
think he is
talented.
so talented.
It's actually insane how talented
Okay,
he
next
is.
week's deep dive, because it's oh no, it's your turn for a deep dive, so you can do what you want. But
I kind of want to do it.
do Jack Antonoff, because that's the whole thing with Lorde, and like what he did with Lorde's career and how good her albums were, and then were they together? Were they not? Oh, dude, Jack Antonoff has lore. Lore.
I don't think I know that much about him.
Oh, I know
just enough.
But yeah, he was in Fun.
I did not.
I think that was kind of like before he really blew up into like producing and stuff. He wasn't like as big a deal.
It just seems like his name is everywhere. It feels like
It is,
except for in the headlines. He's always in the background.
Yeah, he's got like the formula for pop that doesn't sound generic. You know, it's very generic.
Yes.
Somehow he's got the same dang 80s synths from Taylor Swift's Midnights to what he does with Sabrina Carpenter. Like, but it sounds like different and for them, even though it's the same freaking thing. And you're like, wait, this is the same thing, but why does it sound so?
Yeah, because you could pick it out. You did that with Sabrina
Carpenter.
That.
I was like, this is Jack Antonoff. Yeah. But it sounded good.
It did.
That was the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I got off on that, but I just thought of them. We Are Young. That was so fun. Okay.
I also, so I was going to talk for Tears for Fears also as a throwback.
Yes. Go for it.
Just a little bit. Just Tears for Fears. Everybody knows Tears for Fears. They know probably the 2 or 3 songs that were really big.
I have no idea who Tears for Fears is.
None. You will hear it and you'll know. But they were already pretty big. But they were in a cult classic in the late 90s.
Say they were in a cult. I'm like, oh my.
Oh, not this time. They were in a cult classic in the 90s. Like with Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal.
And this is a band.
Yes.
Keep talking.
And I feel like that like almost resurged them, and the movie wasn't big at first. It grew because it's a cult classic. That's what cult classics do.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I didn't know that was them, but I've obviously heard
multiple.
This song. Mad World. Okay, yeah. Shout. Oh, okay, yeah.
See?
Yep.
They're iconic.
They are, actually.
And so they're really interesting because they're like their sound is just pretty unique almost.
Yeah.
But I've tried to listen to their other stuff and I'm like, their stuff is kind of boring. And I'm like, oh, I see why those songs specifically blew up. They're such an interesting group. I almost feel like that should be a deep dive.
Ooh, we could. Well, for the sake of time, it's time to get into this deep dive of the week. I just felt it was very topical, to talk about social media disappearing, and the different platforms that have made it and the different platforms that haven't. So one thing I saw a lot of when TikTok was being banned was millennials being like, you don't know what it's like to have MySpace and Vine ripped from you. Fair, but also not fair, because the companies just like either went out of business or shut it down, not like the government banned it.
Right.
But I get that. I think a lot of people, Vine walked so TikTok could run. MySpace, I think we are desperate for something like that again.
I agree. Yes.
I think that's the saddest thing. Like, what happened to MySpace? I mean, I know what happened, but it seems like that would be, how did Facebook, the most boring thing on earth, even back then, supersede MySpace? I know. The coolest ish.
Facebook took MySpace's model. They overly simplified it, which took all the character from it. And then as they progressed, they got more and more generic and boring.
Yeah.
And I feel like the problem is it became a scrapbook for people. So they didn't want to lose all their photos, all their videos, all their memories. They were like, oh, I can't leave Facebook now because I have all the stuff on here.
I did download all my photos just to make sure I had them. But yeah, I mean, I still have it because I have like my time hop connected to it, and it is funny to see like
I can't do it.
It's terrible.
I had to get rid of it because it's so
I mean,
cringe.
It does get better like in college, where you're like, oh man, we were having fun. Like we did this, we did that. You know, it is really like a time capsule.
Right.
Just ignore the like 16-year-old That's been good though, because I've been like deleting
Delete.
things that
Yes.
are not
That.
that
Why did I say that?
I don't think you understand. Like Gen Z can never understand like what was okay. Like I was a pretty nice, normal kid. I was not racist. I was not homophobic. I wasn't anything.
It was bad.
And this is just like what we said.
Yeah.
I'm so
The
sorry.
R word was just like in the common lexicon. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
crazy.
Thank gosh that my friend came out as trans and I was able to see that where I said the R word on that photo. They came out as trans and there's literally you and I clicked on them to see like, oh my gosh. And there was like you and this person have one photo together and it's like literally me commenting underneath it, ha ha ha, so and so you look R word.
Why?
Because that's what we did. She looked goofy. Sorry, I didn't mean to misgender her. I never see her.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I was like, I gasped. I gasped out loud. My husband was like, what? I'm like, nothing. And I just deleted it. I was 15. But, and here I am now, like apologizing because I just misgendered a person I have not seen in like 15 years.
Nice.
But, so we've come a long way,
That is
clearly.
so funny, though. But what is wrong with us?
Oh, so anyway, Facebook has survived, and I think that's a huge part of it, and also businesses. The one thing that bums me out,
I agree with that.
I rarely use Facebook, but it's so good for events.
Yes.
It's so good for
There's
businesses.
nothing like it with events. Nothing.
And I have to use
It's
it
so
for my
annoying.
business. Just personally, it stinks. The other thing that I thought was really interesting were lesser known sites that are still alive and well. And it's kind of like what we talked about earlier with pop punk.
Yes.
Just because something isn't in the news every day doesn't mean that a ton of people don't use it.
Right.
Reddit.
Yes.
I just shared with Corey. It's time for our 6 o'clock alarm.
Every time. I think it goes a little faster now because I didn't realize the battery was dying before.
Oh, that's good because before we'd sit here for a good 2 minutes and listen to this.
No, why was it so long?
And it was even worse because we were over there, so
Yeah,
it was like right next to it. But
see, that was way faster.
Corey's neighborhood, it was, had a Reddit Fort Wayne famous Reddit post from a guy who was driving drunk and drove in a bunch of people's yards. But Reddit's still alive and well. Eric goes there a lot for like advice on like reviews on everything, where to like go out to eat in towns, like all that. He uses it for advice more than Google.
Oh, good for him.
Like a lot. Reviews tend to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Have you ever not used Reddit for reviews?
No.
Because like Google and things like that, people tend to be like either 5 stars or they tend to pick out like the worst experience of their life.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a good read. Reddit, people are genuinely like, well, this is what's great about it and this what's terrible about it.
Okay.
Because there's no reason the business isn't going to see it.
Right.
So you're not bitching at the business. You're just talking about your experience. And Pinterest. Now, this is not your demographic at all.
No, I saw this on your list and I was like,
I still use Pinterest.
How are they? What's their business model?
Ads.
Little picture ads?
Ads, yeah.
On? Interesting.
I love Pinterest still to this day. You'll never find like an easier way to have everything just like visually in front of you. There's stuff that still feels very like 2012. Like you'll click on a recipe and it takes you to a blog that you have to read about, you know, Melissa's grandma's farm's cow that ran away when she was 10 and taught her a life lesson. So there's still like elements of it that just feel, oh gosh. And there's like, sometimes the photos on there and stuff are so 2012 edited.
Yeah.
That it's just like almost a time capsule in time. But there's a lot of new stuff that links to like TikToks and all that too.
Right.
So Pinterest is like,
that's interesting.
Alive and well, just
good for them.
There's no politics on there really. I mean, if you like sought it out, if you were like raw milk benefits or like, you know what I mean? Like if you sought it out, you could, I'm sure it's there, but if you're not seeking it, you're not going to see it. I've never seen a political post on there.
That sounds lovely.
It's beautiful. It's literally decor, clothes, food, pretty pictures, travel.
That sounds great.
It's very relaxing.
I love that.
Yeah. I would highly recommend it actually. Maybe not for you, but for everybody else. So it is interesting how those have survived. What do you think is going to make it in 10 years? What do you think we're still going to see? Facebook.
I to be honest, the more so with TikTok's whole debacle thing where they got shut down and they got put back out and then it's kind of all sketchy and you're kind of like, well, thank Trump, and like, this is really getting gross, and something doesn't feel right about this. It doesn't feel kosher. And then Facebook is kind of just putting its mealy hands in there, and I'm like, I kind of hope the government overcorrects and just gets rid of all social media, because I
Wouldn't
feel
be
like it's a
bad.
problem.
I think it is. I mean, I don't scroll much, but I do
It
create.
doesn't create. I feel like it used to
Yeah.
create conversation in the past.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't create conversation; it creates discourse. Those are not the same thing.
I feel like people are getting, it's becoming Facebook for Gen Z, and that's not a good thing. Like, it's becoming very conspiracy laden and
Very.
becoming very, I want to use the right words here. Propaganda, but not propaganda. Let me phrase that right. So you get on Facebook and it feels like a ton of just super right-wing stuff that may be true, but definitely has a heavy right-wing bent, and it's just in your face constantly.
Yeah.
Starting to feel that way on TikTok,
Yeah.
where it's like heavy left. Now I identify more towards the left. Maybe if I was on the right, I'd be getting a different picture. But I think a lot of Gen Z is getting fed.
But is it giving you left wing conspiracies?
Yes.
Because that's what I started getting, and I was like, I'm not
interested in this.
I do not want to live in a reality that does not exist. I would like to live in reality, please.
Being 33 and someone who really likes to read.
Nerd.
I know. I feel like I'm pretty like, I don't want to sound like haughty when I say this, but I feel like I have a pretty good handle on like kind of facts of a situation most of the time. And I can pick things out pretty quickly where I'm like, I don't think that's the whole truth. Or there's some heavy opinion behind that. Or heavy conjecture. I worry that these like 22-year-olds who all they do is watch videos and never have watched, not even looked at a mainstream news article.
Right.
Like, forget reading something. They're not even on like AP News, just reading the facts of what just happened.
Right.
And that concerns me.
I'm hoping that they find the creators who go out of their way to prove that what they're saying is only fact. Because that's like the only saving grace, I think. Because there's a woman on there that I follow. Her name, she goes by the News Girl, I think is what she goes by, and she almost feels brash at times because she's so anti-opinion. She's like, I'm just giving you exactly what I know and what the facts are. And so she's like, if you think this is leaning one way or the other, that's your own bias coming through, because I'm just giving you facts. Yeah. So I have no idea what her leaning is, because she literally is like, she'll like be mean in the comments to people who are trying to make her have an opinion on something.
Yeah, that's what reporters are supposed to do. Right. They're not supposed to have an opinion. I know someone even like got on me in my messages. They're like, you can't talk about the tariffs without like denouncing Trump. I'm like, that's not what I do. I give you the facts of what's going on in retail shopping and theme parks. I don't want to denounce anyone. Here are the tariffs.
This is what way to message you for that.
Yeah, this is what I get it more than you think. Like, people really want me to like take a side on things.
Oh yeah,
and it's like that's not what I do.
That didn't surprise me. You saw how people were treated over the whole Israel and Gaza.
Yeah,
and you saw people getting like blacklisted,
and that was like, wild, because people were literally like, "I make sourdough bread."
Yeah.
For you on here, like, don't kill children, I guess. Like,
yeah, do I have to
weird.
Say genocide is bad? Like, yeah, why is that not common knowledge?
So no, I think it's good. You want to follow people that you have no idea what their political affiliation is, who are just giving you the facts,
right?
And you want to follow opinions. I mean, that's all part of it. You want to hear and you want to follow opinions on the right.
I don't.
You know,
I don't want to.
I think you want to follow
surrounded
like
with people in our personal lives that are very right leaning.
You know, like something like when I say the right, I mean like something like the Wall Street Journal that leans right, but tends to
is reality still
tends to be, you know, just to get like a
taste of what they're
talking about. But that's the one thing with TikTok. I think for me, it'll be interesting. You're gonna laugh at this. If X/Twitter survives. Because I think everybody's trying so hard to not, but nobody has created anything like it besides Blue Sky, but not enough people are like moving over.
Yeah.
So it's like a quarter of a platform, not even 10% of a platform.
Right.
Nobody has replicated Twitter yet.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still on it. I don't want to be, but that's where I get all my niche news. It's where I get live as it's happening.
Yeah. And that's why Threads died, because it's not close.
Even
though it really had a much easier leg up on catching it, at least, and it still completely failed because it's Mark Zuckerberg.
I think Instagram will probably still be around. I just do. I just think it's kind of like Facebook. It's kind of become a legacy at this point,
Yeah,
whether it's like the most active platform, I don't know. Somehow Snapchat keeps surviving. I mean, I use Snapchat,
I
but
don't.
Gen Z really does, I think, especially younger Gen
Yeah.
Z, like to talk. Like my cousins, that's what they use is texting. They don't like post
Why?
stories. That's what they have just always done. You can never get them to text you back. You have to like snap them. And I don't mean snap like take a picture. Snap like just text them on Snapchat.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's so odd.
Um, and what was I going to say? Oh, TikTok, I think it really depends on what happens with this sale.
Yeah.
If not much changes and it goes to like Microsoft or Mr. Beast Group or whatever, and the algorithm's still the same and all that, I think it could survive for quite a while.
Yeah.
If it gets mangled and butchered in the process or things feel icky, but what's going to replace it? That's the thing.
Yeah, something will come along. That's why
That's the
it's
thing.
here in the first place, is because
Yeah.
something had to replace Vine.
I think there will be something that will be big
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. I just hope. I am so afraid of these large companies taking the advantage of trying to purchase it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think Elon Musk buying X is a great example of the fear of what could go wrong.
Jack Dorsey, what'd you do?
Like that was. We may not know the implications of how big of a deal that is until probably down the line.
But I mean, give Jack Dorsey a lot of money,
like
through Square. Give him a lot of money.
He owns Square too.
He owns Square. That's why part of why he's like stepped down from Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because he wanted to focus more on that. Well, it's called Block. I think.
Yeah, because it's
like
probably less controversial than Twitter or X, because people are always up their asses. Yeah. Which is why like Mark Zuckerberg feels so it acts so aggrieved, because people are like, hey, your platform is bad. You should make it not be so bad for people. And he's like, but why don't you guys just like me? I don't understand. And it's like, because you're an asshole. Like, you're not trying to make it a better place, a better world. Like, it's like you are your own worst enemy, and they're doing nothing to fix it.
I think too, I have to give Snap credit, and I know they've had their share of controversies, from all the underage contacting to the drugs and all that, but they haven't like sold out.
I know.
They
that is good for them.
Yeah, honest, it's still Evan Spiegel, Miranda Kerr's husband. Did you know that?
I don't know who either of those people are.
He's the CEO and I believe the founder. And Miranda Kerr was married to Orlando Bloom. She was a model. She's married to him now, or at least they have kids together. They've been together a long time. I don't know if they're formally married. So, I mean, Snap's just throwing out the big bucks to the influencers to. Apparently, you can make bank on Snap if you're like. That's why all of a sudden you'll see. Well, you're not on Snap, so you don't know. All of a sudden you'll see like a TikTok person be like, "Gonna be posting more of my day-to-day on Snap. Thought that would be fun." No, they came to you and they offered you $10 million. That's why you're there.
That's wild.
Oh yeah, like people are making. Do you remember David Dobrik?
Yeah.
He is like solely on Snapchat and making like millions a month off Snap.
I would flash a boob regularly if people would pay me enough.
It's crazy. Alex Earl? That was funny. Do you know Alex Earl?
I know. Yeah, I know of her, yeah.
One day she's like, I just feel like it would be fun to post on Snapchat more. And then it's like, oh, so you got the Snapchat money is what happened. And it's not like a sponsorship.
Why not just say it?
Everybody knows. Because they're getting paid per view, I believe. It's not like you have to be invited into their fund. Okay. But like I don't think it's like a formal like I'm sponsored by Snapchat to post this. It's like you're a creator over there. But it is funny. You always see it like like the Kardashians, like the less like Khloe and stuff, they post over there so much. It's like just say you're getting the Snap money.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't know why that drives me a little crazy. I'm like, just say you're doing it.
So if one day I'm ever like, I just feel like I should be posting my life on Snapchat more, just a little more casual.
I'll know you made it big.
You'll know I made it big. So that won't be happening. But yeah. Anyway, well, thank you for coming to our very first.
Wait. I have to talk a little bit about the movie I saw.
Oh, you're going against okay, you threw it at the end there. He went against the timeline at his own category.
Sure did. Woo!
We should have a really solid time, layout each week. Corey, I'm going to throw movies at the bottom there and just talk about this. Go.
I did, because it's crazy. So I'm very late to the game and I apologize, but I saw The Substance last week in theaters, and Demi Moore and Dennis Quaid. And this movie was a ride. So I don't know if you've heard any description of it. It's called they.
Yeah, I think I saw her interview on the Today Show.
You and your Today Show, I
I like the
swear.
Today Show. Wakes me up.
So the description people kept using for it was body horror, and I was like, I don't
Ugh.
know what that means. What does body horror mean? And boy, I know exactly what they mean because it's so much. But the goriness of it was a lot. The ending was almost chintzy with how gory it got.
I don't like that.
The message was still very interesting.
Let's fall asleep.
Nice.
Sorry.
I don't know how to describe it. I would say it was like, I would still give it like, as a horror movie, probably like an 8.5 out of 10. Like it was solid. It was.
Did it get good reviews?
It did, I think. I mean, it's winning awards. So I mean,
and you enjoyed going to the theater, you said.
I do. I like going to the theater for a couple of reasons. One, it forces me to not touch my phone.
Yeah.
Which is great because I don't need to touch my phone. I can sit still for 2 hours and watch a movie and not touch my phone.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that at home. So I do enjoy that. There was also nobody there, which is super funny. It was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday at 7:30. It was late. It's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
Who's going?
Yeah.
Makes
sense.
But
I was so surprised at how cheap it was. And it must have been just because they re-released it. But it was $6.
That was so funny.
Movie.
Corey asked me how much it was, and I thought he was saying it was expensive. And I guessed 14 because that felt right. And I was like, well, it's a Wednesday night. Like, how expensive can it be? And yeah, I was like half that.
Yeah. So I was like super, super impressed with that. The movie, I probably do have one critique of it, which I think it's intentional. They went overboard with grossness.
Ew, I don't like that.
I think accentuate like how men can get away with murder basically.
Okay.
In the media industry. Like the guy's name is Harvey, who's her agent. you know where that's a call to. Yeah. But like at the very beginning, they're meeting on her 50th birthday. And he's dropping her because she's old and he needs somebody younger, which is the whole premise of the thing. She needs to be a younger body again, even though she looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know? And so at this meeting, he's eating and she's not. And he is I looked at Jenna, who I went with, and I was like, this is the worst case ASMR I've ever been a part of. Like I was so disgusted that I was like, I hope they get past this because I'm going to vomit. Like,
so they used it as like a theatrical technique.
Yes.
Like
it was intentional for sure. Yeah. Yes. But I was like, this is disgusting. I have got to get like I can, you know what? Cut your body out of yourself, have a huge gash in your spine. I don't give a shit. But do not do like it's like disgusting. I was like, what are we doing? So it was a great movie. The message was very good. It was really fun to watch Demi Moore. Do you know what I was surprised by is that Demi Moore got the nomination and the award only because she's not in it as much as I expected because it's a two-part really. Because when you take the substance, there's a younger version of yourself that gets pulled out, and then the older part of yourself is literally just laying there like a corpse on the floor, and you have to basically give it food to survive over a week, and then you have to switch back, otherwise the body can't regulate. It's really interesting. I didn't know all that stuff, but the other person that played her younger self was almost more of the main character to me, because as you know how people who are vain are, the younger version didn't want to give up any of her time because she's the prettier version. She shouldn't have to give up any of her time. She's the one with she got her career back. Yeah. So the longer that the time went on, she started breaking the rules and not going back every week and started taking from Demi. And so she was the main character almost more so.
Interesting.
So, but Demi Moore was, still fantastic in it. It was the acting. They got some really good acting choices. The younger version, I'd never heard of her before. Margaret Qualley, I think is what it is.
Oh, she's married to Jack Antonoff.
Full circle. She was great in it. She was amazing.
That's so funny.
That's crazy. Is it really?
Yeah, she really is. Yeah, she's married.
I love that you know that too, off the cuff.
Yeah, there was a whole big thing because Taylor tried to go to their wedding because she was like, and they had to shut down the whole street because they got swarmed, and I felt so bad.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
but she was really good
at the Grammys. That's who Taylor was dancing with at one point. Margaret Qualley.
Oh, I might have to go
Yeah,
look
because she was there
again.
with Jack.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, she was like the main character, really.
Good for her. I'm
Yeah.
excited. She seems really cool.
But
She's a
I think she
nepo baby.
struggled.
Nepo baby, not like I'm not saying that in a
Is she?
negative way. Yeah, Andy McDowell's her mom.
Oh, I did know that. I did
Yeah.
hear that. Um, I think I did read that. I think I saw that she did struggle with the role because the role really is
Oh.
like objectifying women is really what it is.
Yeah, that's
So
hard.
she was the epitome of being objectified, basically, and like they like were really focusing on like her ass and her tits
Mm.
and things that, like, and not in,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a distasteful way. It was like an obviously like this is how
Yeah.
Hollywood is if you're like not
Yeah.
critically looking at it through a
Well, I
lens,
will not be watching it, but I was happy to hear about
I
it.
think you could probably read it
Yeah, I'll read
on
it.
like
I'll read it on Wikipedia. That's
yeah,
what
read
I
it on
like to do.
Wikipedia, and
I'll do that
I think you
tonight.
would enjoy that.
Well, thank you all for coming. We'll be back here next week.